And now I'd like to introduce Deputy Treasurer with the Nevada State Treasurer's Office, Sheila Salehian.
Good morning, Danica.
Good morning.
So I'm here today to talk about an educated workforce and why it's so important to have one, and how the State Treasurer's Office offers programs to support businesses and families in educating the students. So why is college education important? The studies have concluded that by 2020, 58% of the jobs will require a career certificate or a college degree. That number jumps to 70% by 2030. And actually, here in Southern Nevada, the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance just released a workforce blueprint, actually yesterday, identifying high-demand jobs for Southern Nevada. Jobs such as general managers, software developers, accountants, auditors, financial managers, the list goes on and on. All of these jobs will require some level of post-secondary degree or certification, as well as some will require bachelor's degrees. It's clear higher education is something that every family and business should plan for. On the personal side, higher education results in higher earnings and lower unemployment rates. According to an October 2017 report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, by educational attainment, full-time workers aged 25 and over without a high school diploma had median weekly earnings of $522 compared to $1,271 for those holding at least a bachelor's degree. So I'm sure a lot of your listeners have heard this statistic, but that adds up to almost $1 million more in earnings in a worker's lifetime if he or she obtains a 4-year college degree. Also, as we know from coming out of the big economic recession, those with a high school diploma had higher unemployment rates than those with a bachelor's degree. Even as of last year, in 2016, if you only had a high school diploma, you had a 5.6% or 5.2% average unemployment rate, and those with a bachelor's degree had an unemployment rate of only 2.7%. So again, personal benefits of going to school or pursuing post-secondary education, higher earnings, and lower unemployment rates. I wanted to talk a little bit about higher education inflation and some of the programs that we offer to take control of rising tuition costs. According to the Nevada System of Higher Education, university and college tuition rates have risen quite substantially over the past 10 years. The undergraduate tuition rate here in the state increased 85% from 2005 and 6 school year to the 2014 and 15 school year. And if you look at the Nevada State College, that increased 94% during that same time period. And even at the community college rate, tuition increased 66.5%, the lower division rate. So I'm here again today to talk a little bit about ways to take control of rising tuition with the Nevada Prepaid Tuition Program. If you look nationally at public out-of-state tuition and fees, and just to put a dollar average on this versus the percentages I've been talking about, in 1997, tuition and fees for an out-of-state institution, and a public institution at that, were about $8,840 a year. That jumped to $26,000 in 2017-18. So that is truly unsustainable, and what impact has it had on students that are going and pursuing higher education? It's had a huge impact on the rise of student loan debt. According to a September 2017 article in Student Loan Hero, debt now is at $1.45 trillion owed in this country. Broken down, that equates to an astonishing 44 million borrowers and about $620 billion more than the total U.S. credit card debt. If you graduated in 2016 with an undergraduate degree, you likely had about $37,000 in student loan debt, which is up 6% from just last year. So what can you do about it? At the state, we offer various 529 college savings plans. These are state-sponsored college savings plans designed to help families meet the rising cost of higher education. They have federal tax advantages. All the earnings that you save in a 529 plan are not subject to federal tax, and the withdrawals are tax-free as long as you use the withdrawals for qualified higher education expenses. And there's no annual fees for Nevada 529 accounts for residents. I just want to briefly talk about the two types of plans, and then I'm going to talk more specifically about our prepaid tuition program, which again is going to give residents and businesses an opportunity to lock in today's tuition for tomorrow's use. The two types of plans are, and they're both 529 plans. One is a prepaid tuition program. It's structured like a defined benefit plan. You purchase in-state tuition credit hours today for future use, and the value can be used out of state, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few slides. The tuition that you're purchasing is in-state at UNR, UNLV. However, again, you can use it nationwide. The benefits can be used at Harvard, or if your son or daughter does go to UNR, it would be 100% of the tuition that is paid. If they go to an Ivy League, as I mentioned, Harvard, Princeton, one of those schools, a private school, the family would pay the difference in what the program would have paid if the child had gone to UNR versus an out-of-state or private institution. On the 529 savings plan side, those work more like a Roth IRA, where it's after-tax money that you put into the plan, and on the back end, all the money that is earned on that investment is tax-free when it's used for higher education. So I'm going to focus a little bit about prepaid tuition. This is a program that is one of 11 left in the entire country. We offer it here in the state of Nevada as a way to take control of rising tuition costs. Families purchase higher education credit hours, as I mentioned, at today's prices, and they hold on to those contracts until their children are ready to go to college. The earlier start, the more affordable the plans are, and we offer this program for newborns through 9th graders. The plans start as low as $38 a month for community college, and the contract benefits can be used to pay for tuition at public or private institutions, as I mentioned earlier. And also just to note, I'm going to go into the different payment options, but the monthly contract payments are set for life regardless of how much tuition goes up. So that's really the benefit. You're locking in at the 2017-18 prices, and even if you take 10 years to pay for this program, you're locked in at those prices and that contract rate. A lot of families, don't realize that we have many programs to choose from within prepaid tuition, so I wanted to mention a few of the options that we have. We have a 2-year community college. You can buy anywhere from 1 year to 4 years at a university, and a lot of families choose to buy a little bit of both. They'll buy a 2-year university and a 2-year community college plan. The various payment options that we offer are, you can buy it outright as a lump sum, you can pay it over 5 years in monthly installments, or you can pay it from the time you purchase the program until the time your child graduates from high school. And obviously the longer that you pull the payments out, the longer, the cheaper the program is as far as the monthly payments. I wanted to also dispel some of the myths about our Nevada Prepaid Tuition Plan. And the first one is that the tuition benefits can only be used in the state of Nevada. Today we have approximately 13,000 kids using their benefits. We've sold over 20,000 of these prepaid tuition plans since inception almost 20 years ago. And in fact, we are paying out millions of dollars both in-state and out-of-state every year. Last year we paid $3.2 million to out-of-state schools, and we paid almost 300 institutions. Schools like Yale, Brown, Columbia, Cornell are just a few of the schools that we paid. And then we also paid almost $7 million to in-state institutions within the Nevada system of higher education. One of the other myths that families often tell us when we talk to them about the prepaid tuition program is that their child's too old, they waited too long to purchase it and it won't benefit them. And the fact is that you can purchase prepaid tuition for your child up to and including ninth grade. In fact, about 15% of our families purchase the program between 8th and 9th grade. In fact, the published tuition rates at UNR and UNLV are going up 4% a year for the next few years. Right now, the 2017 and 18 rate is $215.50 a credit hour. We know next school year that's going up to $224 a credit hour. So again, even if you buy in 9th grade, you're benefiting from the increased tuition that happens between 9th grade and the time your child's ready to go to college. Parents also often ask, what if my child gets a full ride scholarship? What happens to the money? And the purchasers have many options. They can receive a full refund of all the money paid into the program, even if they pay over time and they're paying that interest rate with it. They receive a full refund of all the money paid into the program. They can use prepaid tuition to pay toward credit hours and let the scholarship money be paid toward room and board, books, fees, computers, etc. As we know, there's many more costs to college education than just tuition. Also, there's IRS rules that allow you to change the beneficiary to eligible family members. So a brother, a sister, up to a first cousin are eligible family members that could use this program. You could also roll over the value of the prepaid tuition program to a 529 savings program and use that for graduate school. So there's many options if indeed your child is lucky enough to receive a full ride scholarship or even a partial scholarship. Another myth is that prepaid tuition prices are not really today's prices for tomorrow's tuition. And the fact is that the price of a 4-year university contract, if you pay it by lump sum, is $24,716, for example, for a second grader. Today's UNR rates are $215.50 per credit hour, as I mentioned, 120 credit hours, which is typically 4 years at university, costs $25,860. So truly is today's rates that you're purchasing and that you're locking in for use in the future. Now, we mentioned the two payment options of monthly payments until the time the child goes to college or a 5-year payment plan. There is a 6.25% interest rate built into the 5-year and extended payment option contracts, similar to when you buy a car with credit or you buy a house, a mortgage, there's always an interest rate. However, if you do need to cancel the contract, maybe you have a financial hardship, maybe your child again gets a full ride scholarship, you do qualify for 100% of the refund that you paid into the program. And if it's a financial hardship or a non-scholarship situation, then we do hold just a $100 administration fee, but all of the money that you paid in over the years, you get back, even the interest component. About 15% of the prepaid tuition plan purchasers are grandparents, aunts, uncles, and friends. You do not have to be a parent to open up a 529 account or a prepaid tuition account. Now, either the purchaser or the beneficiary has to live in the state of Nevada to purchase a Nevada Prepaid Tuition program. But again, about 15% of our purchasers are non-parents, and a lot of times they're retired grandparents whose grandkids don't even live here. They live in another state. They see the value of this program. They purchase it. And I think many of them hope their grandkids come to Nevada for college. The one exception we have about the residency is that if you are a UNLV or a UNR graduate or even a community college graduate, maybe you went to Great Basin, maybe another Nevada System higher education institution in this state, if you're an alumni and you graduated, you can live anywhere and purchase this program. So we do have rebels that write in and purchase the program that are living in the East Coast now and raising their kids. and see the value and come back and join the ranks of the Nevadans that have purchased this program. People ask what the difference is between a prepaid and a 529 savings plan. So I'm just going to touch on that for a minute. A 529 savings plan requires you to determine how you want to invest your money. And prepaid plans take that investment risk and invest that plan for you. A prepaid tuition plan does give you peace of mind knowing that regardless of how much tuition increases, you have it paid for. Whereas a 529 savings plan is more flexible in the sense that you can pay for tuition, you can pay for room and board. You're not locking in the cost of tuition, but you are saving for all of the higher education expenses. Sometimes families ask me, well, which one is better? Which one should I invest in? And really it's a personal decision. These plans are complementary. Prepaid tuition benefits, again, are limited to tuition, and 529 savings plans can pay for all other eligible college expenses. So a lot of families, if they're in a position to be able to save in both plans, then I recommend that they do that so that they have a more complete college savings strategy. The other difference is that prepaid plans, because you are locking in tuition, they are only open once a year generally for enrollment. Our plan is open from November 1 through March 31st. Usually 529 savings plans are open all year round, and also 529 savings plans can be used for adults that are saving maybe to go back to school and get their master's degree, whereas prepaid tuition really is geared toward obtaining an undergraduate degree. As I mentioned, the open enrollment period is once a year. It's from November 1st through March 31st of 2018. We do have a contest every year that I wanted to make sure your listeners knew about, and if you enroll by January 31st, 2018, you're entered to win one free year of college tuition. Wow. We have a winner in the north and the winner in the south every year, and it's a value of around $6,300. And usually the first couple months of open enrollment, we only get about 300 enrollees. People always wait till the last minute to enroll. I guess it's human nature. But if you are thinking about investing in the program, I would encourage you to invest before January 31st so you can get in on that contest and you perhaps might win a $6,300 value of 1 year of free tuition. I want to kind of switch over to the business owners and talk about the Senate Bill 412 that was passed in 2015, which really is a benefit not only to employers but to employees in the state. And it was introduced, we don't have state income taxes, which is a good thing, but at the same time, a lot of states that have 529 plans, they have benefits if you are at the state level for saving for higher education. Since we don't have that, we had worked with some legislators to bring this Senate Bill 412 forward, and it gives employers a modified business tax deduction if indeed they help their employees save for college. So just a little bit about the modified business tax. If you pay wages over $50,000 per quarter, you're governed under NRS 363A or 363B, you're paying modified business tax. There are some existing deductions to the modified business tax for health benefits if you're a qualifying veteran. There's also some existing credits that are allowed toward the modified business tax. There's a film credit, an abatement of taxes, and also if businesses support the Nevada Educational Choice Scholarship Program, they can receive a modified business tax benefit. There's two new credits with Senate Bill 412, which was passed in the 2015 legislative session. One is for the Nevada College Savings Trust Fund, and one is for the Nevada Higher Education Prepaid Tuition Trust Fund. So basically the programs I've been talking about today. An employer is entitled to a credit against the modified business tax if the contribution matches the contribution made to the savings account by an employee of the employer. So you've got employees that are saving for college for their kids, and you as as an employer, make a contribution to match what your employees are saving. The credit available is equal to 25% of the matching contribution, not to exceed $500 per contributing employee per year. So that's pretty substantial. Any excess of the credit can be applied to the tax liability for 5 years after the year in which the matching contribution was made. And again, this is legislation that was just passed 2 years ago, and it's really wonderful that employers are thinking about, how they can support their employees in this manner of matching what they're saving for college, trying to help them avoid that student loan debt that continues to rise every year. Some have said it's the next big bubble to burst. We hope not, but this is one solution to that. The other is the Nevada Higher Education Prepaid Tuition Program, and again, employers are entitled to a credit against their modified business tax if they match the savings that their employees are investing in the Nevada Prepaid Tuition Program. It's the same structure. The only difference is the employee has a prepaid tuition contract versus a 529 savings plan. The credit available is again the same. It's 25% of the matching contribution, not to exceed $500 per contributing employee per year. And again, the same rules apply, that any excess of the credit can be applied to the tax liability for 5 years after the year in which the matching contribution was made. And, I'd like to also share really reasons to consider as an employer matching your employee college savings plan contributions. The obvious, that we talked about is to qualify for the modified business tax credit, but there's minimal administration to this credit. You can offer payroll direct deposit to your employees. So your employees basically set it and forget it. As you're looking at your employee benefits and how do you retain high-performing employees, much like a 401k match, this employer match really sets your company apart from others and encourages employees to save. From a workforce development perspective, we talked about the percentage of jobs that are going to require post-secondary education in Nevada in 2030. That is estimated at 70%. So you can help prepare for tomorrow's workforce needs today, by participating in helping your employees save for higher education, whether that's, again, for themselves or for their children. And just to be a part of the solution to this rising student loan debt problem that this country has. At $1.45 trillion, students are graduating with, debt that is paralyzing. And it continues every year. As I mentioned, even last year it went up another 6%. So these are really reasons for businesses to consider, getting involved and helping be part of the solution. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to any questions.
Yeah, and again, if you have any questions, you can feel free to do so in the chat box in the bottom left corner of your screen, or you can unmute your phone by pressing *7. Sheila, can you give an example of someone who's maybe been able to benefit from the program?
Sure. As I mentioned, the program's been around for about 20 years. We have about 20,500 contracts that we've sold. Governor Sandoval was one of the smart ones. He purchased the program when his kids were babies, when they were first born in the late 90s and early 2000s. He paid in around $15,000 for 2 contracts, and we've paid out over $35,000 on his behalf, and we're still paying. So by the time it's all said and done, I believe we'll pay out about $50,000 for his 2 children, and he paid in $15,000.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
That's great. And then are there tax penalties if you invest in the 529 plan?
Well, that's a great question. If you don't use the 529 savings for its intended purposes for higher education, on the savings side, any earnings that you earn on your money, so say your child's age 5 when you start your savings account, and at age 18 they decide, okay, I'm not going to college, you don't have anyone else that you're able to transfer the money to, the penalty that you would pay is on the earnings portion of that money that you saved, and it's a 10% IRS penalty. It's kind of like a 401k when you take it out early. These really are intended for higher education. On the prepaid side, there is no penalty because we don't give interest back to participants when they cancel. So there is no earnings on the real benefit of prepaid tuition comes in actually using it for its intended purposes, buying it when the children are young, holding on to it, watching that higher education cost continue to increase, knowing that you've locked in at that lower rate, and then using those benefits at the higher rate when your child's ready to go to college. So again, we don't give back interest earned on that money because really you're buying tuition credits. You're not investing in a savings account.
And lastly, how do people enroll? Do they just go to that?
Yes, if you go to nv529.org, we have all of our programs there. You can get more information on Nevada Prepaid Tuition. It will take you to a link to the Treasurer's website for nvprepaid.gov, and you can get more information on the program. You can look at the prior history of the program. We have an annual report out there. We have annual audits. We have an actuarial analysis out there so you can get more information, and you can also enroll right online. The last thing I want to mention about prepaid tuition is we actually have one of the strongest programs in the country from an actuarial perspective. It's 132% funded. So this year, because we did so well with investments over the past few years, we were able to leave prices the same regardless of the fact that the Nevada System of Higher Education raised tuition for 4%. The College Savings Board voted to leave prices the same. So we're actually offering in 2018, which is very rare, we're offering 2017 prices.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Great. Sounds like a really great program, and I want to thank you so much for being here today. Again, if you guys have any questions, Sheila's information is up on the screen right now. Thank you so much again. Really informative stuff. I think our members are really going to enjoy, especially because they're parents, a lot of them, so they're going to want to invest early. They're business people. They know what to do about that. So thank you so much for joining us today. And next week, can you believe it? Thanksgiving already, so we will not be here in the office. So no Chamber University next week, but make sure you join us again on December 1st for our next session. And I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you.
Thank you so much.